of Survive to Thrive with me, Dr. Todd, and today we are going to talk about reflection. You know, the sum of your abilities to look back and learn from life is why you're at the level that you're at. So yes, the question must be asked, do I like the level that I'm at? Or am I striving to be at a different level? And plug in whatever you want to plug in into this scenario. And this could be a goal that you may have for your body. This may be a greater seeking of purpose that you want, seeking something beyond yourself, seeking something greater in life. This could be an elevation at work, meaning a promotion or somewhere that you're trying to go. If you own your own business, this is trying to expand in that business. If it's a relationship, you're trying to go a different direction. But where you're at with all of these different areas is just the sum of your ability to reflect. It's actually being able to look back and see what you've done, where you've come, and learn from that. Some of the greatest leaders of our times, some of the greatest warriors, some of the people, generals that fought battles were able to learn from history. Our republic in America is only the way it currently is because our founding fathers were able to reflect on what Rome did. Rome was only the way that they are or were because they were able to reflect on what the Greeks did. And they all took little parts of these greats and summed them up to make something greater. And so as we go right at it today, the tip and the trick for you is identifying where you may have some gaps in your life and reflecting back. So my journey last week, the podcasts were light because I took a journey with a group of men, business owners, to be able to carve out some time to reflect. It was really, really, really hard. As you know, if you're a patient in our office, the demands on you to be able to get in on a regular basis are high because to make some changes, you got to do the work, you got to show up, and it requires a 3-time-a-week kind of concept. But I took a gap in the middle of the week because this is in the middle of the week is always hard. It's hard to take time to do this, but it's one of the reasons that I needed to do it because it was hard, I guess, if you will, in the aspects of like, otherwise I'm not going to get this time. And one of the greatest things that I've done over this last year is provide time for reflection for myself. But also with my queen. Once a month, we had actually scheduled a major kind of debrief, a major kind of reflection on some stuff. And then once a quarter, I am now subjecting myself to a complete review of the last quarter. Like, what did I do? Where am I going? All these types of things. And so what I wanted to expose for you today is potentially a gap in where you're trying to go by not looking back and learning from your history. You see, one of the greatest things that you could do is look back at what you've done, what works and what doesn't work, and be able to create a new way. Instead of years going by, you can actually correct and say, hey, like, this didn't work. Let me try this. So if you're a business owner out there listening to this, one of the greatest things that you can do is correct quickly. This means that you're not waiting even months. You're actually looking things straight in the face, looking at the facts of where you are on a daily basis, reflecting on a weekly basis. So the tip and the trick for you today is to identify where you want to make some changes or where you have had some challenges in actually making changes here in the recent past. Like, this isn't working. And to carve out space and time for you to be able to reflect. So in reflection, I'll give you some tips in reflection, you have to ask yourself some amazing questions. But also creating the space needs to have a place that you can do this uninterrupted. Because if it's one of these things you get going and like, I'm doing it, no, interruption. I got a phone call. I got a kid that's like needing this and I got this. You have to create some space. For a moment, we were creating a space and I was actually booking a hotel room, a conference room, and be able to just go in the conference room. It's quiet. You got coffee, you got water. I was paying just for that space. So you may consider doing something. It wasn't that bad. It was $100 for one of our local conference rooms at a hotel. And we would get this done. I would carve out 4 hours for this $100 and be able to get these things done. So it's so vital to what you're doing and where you're going that if you are not reflecting often, you need to do so and create this space. And so the tips and the tricks in that space is to ask the questions that need to be asked to be able to create change or create growth or to keep a pattern going. So like take it for instance in your body. It's really always easy to understand and measure your body. Am I making the gains that I set forth? Am I making gains? Am I going the direction that I want? Or am I maintaining my healthy? Or am I losing? And so you answer these questions as a matter of reflection. I'm looking back at my workouts and I'm like, is this serving me? Okay, if I was set forth a marathon, very easy to measure, 26.2 miles, I think. 26.2 miles. If I'm going to back that off and actually obtain that measurement, meaning I'm going to hit that mark by a certain time, I back it up and I'm like, where am I at today? I'm running 2 miles. Well, depending on my time that I have to get up to 26 miles, I may not be serving myself very well. But unless I'm stopping to look at this and saying, hey, is this working or not working? Now, I know you can create this in your head. You're like, it's working, it's working, it's working, it's working, it's working. But taking a critical look at it oftentimes allows a more critical evaluation of what you're doing. We, all the time in our office, expose the gap of where people are in, meaning that they're in a certain location, but they want to go a certain direction. And in this gap, we find all sorts of issues. Like, I want to be here, but For instance, I got all this pain, and this pain's keeping me from doing the things that I want to do. Meaning I want to be pain-free, I want to be problem-free, but one of my biggest challenges is where I'm at right now. Every time I wake up in the morning, I want to exercise, but I can't because my low back is killing me. I want to start walking more, but my knees won't let me. And so we have this, gap of where you want to go and where you are. And the reflections on that is sitting down and saying, okay, what have I tried in the past? Okay, did it work? Yes or no? If it didn't work, let's try something different. We talk this along the lines of nutrition quite often. I hear this a lot. People come in, well, I've done that in the past, but it didn't work. So why would you do it again? So obviously there is some discipline issues, a variety of different things that didn't really kickstart. So let's try something different. But we only know where we can go by looking back at where we've been. And this is the tip and the trick today, is for you, I challenge you to sit down and reflect with your loved ones, with a significant other, however you want to do it. Reflect on your bank accounts, reflect on your relationship, reflect on your body, reflect on your connections. And in that you will find some truths, and then you will find some space to create a new direction. Or you will find that you are on the path that you want to be, and thus you continue on that direction. But here I was for 2 straight days writing about and reflecting, looking at, okay, where am I at with this, and where do I want to go? And so I challenge you today in discovering where you are at with your body, with your relationships, with your significant other and kids and friends and network there. Where you're at with your purpose. With God. With your connection there. Are you happy with that? Where you're at with your bank account. Is it filling up or is it going down? It does that quite often. Fills up and then goes down. Goes down and then fills up. Are you happy with that level? If not, it's time to carve out some time for reflection to be able to create a new way of going at it. Because in reflection, you will find new direction. In reflection, you will find new direction. And you'll find yourself not just living a life of repeating and doing the same things and expecting a different result, but you will find yourself going a different direction because you sit down and write and say, hey, this is not working. Let me create a different pattern. In reflection, you will find a new direction. The greatest leaders, the greatest governments of all time was a culmination of just reflections on what worked, what didn't. And that is your challenge today, to get out of this life of just surviving, which is never looking back, never reflecting on what was, to be able to learn and to be able to move. This is about living a life above, thriving by looking back and learning, looking back and starting to adapt and correct and create a new, so that you can be successful and obtaining what you want out of life. That's all I got for you today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.